All right, joining us now for a closer look at the broader impact of the Threads debut, Rachel Carton. She is social media consultant for companies like Kava and West Elm, and Alex Kantrowitz, big technology founder and CNBC contributor. Rachel, were you surprised? Because Threads is like the polar opposite of the metaverse, right? I mean, this is like text on a two-dimensional screen. It's something that it seems like Facebook, back when it was called that, was resisting doing for a long time when people were saying, why don't you? And now it's growing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised and I'm not surprised. I think that the timing is right. And I think that it was a fairly almost, I guess, I would say low lift sort of addition to Instagram, and sort of porting all of their users over there is, I think it's a smart idea, and I'm very, very curious to watch it closely.
Alex, I wonder if Mark Zuckerberg's attention shifts away from some other things like the metaverse, which I know is a long-term play, but to this really interesting, somewhat strategic, but also tactical move, which is Threads. Because, I mean, historically, the guy loves growth. He's addicted to growth. And here's something that looks like it's growing both in numbers and in engagement off of Facebook, Meta's existing social graph. This is like old school Mark Zuckerberg stuff.
Absolutely. I think his focus is going to need to shift to this area, but maybe not all for good reasons. So let me just put this out there. What Threads is doing is it's building an algorithmic feed of social media content. What does that sound like? It sounds, okay, a little bit like Twitter, but a lot like Instagram. And when you view this in context of Meta's big war against TikTok, which is the battle of its life, this could, A, potentially distract some of its executives away from putting Instagram and Facebook front and center there, but also take some energy away from Instagram in terms of user focus. And once that happens, all of a sudden, Facebook's plan to take on TikTok looks very different. So I think this is an underappreciated risk in this fight,
all right.
where
well, let me push
the company's
back on
executives
that,
are going to need to look this way.
I mean, there's plenty of investment that Meta can afford to shift around. Does it have to go away from TikTok competition? Couldn't it come from the metaverse? Couldn't you take like 30% of those resources and say, okay, maybe that's a few years out. Let's spend that money on making Threads robust and monetizing it that much sooner?
You could, but the other side of this is the product side. And that's what I'm trying to say, that Threads could eventually be an underappreciated competitor, not just to Twitter, but to Instagram. If this thing starts to take potential growth away from Instagram, potential growth away from Reels, potential growth away from every TikTok competitor that Facebook has, and ends up diluting the Instagram app, yeah, you could eventually have an issue where it doesn't matter how much resources you throw at the thing, you end up competing with yourself more than you're competing with others. That's a potential risk. No one's talking about that, and I think that's a very important thing that could end up hamstringing Meta as it tries to get this thing off the ground.
Rachel, what do you think? Is this classic Facebook, Meta using its existing strength to leverage into another product, which is how they helped grow Instagram on the back of Facebook to begin with? Or is this a potential distraction? And are brands going to move from Instagram to Threads and spend new money there?
Look, I think it's going to be really interesting. We're in day 2 right now. It feels chaotic in there. I'm curious, weeks out, how are people using this platform? Are people posting a lot of photos there? Are people posting, downloaded TikToks in there? Or is it really text-based? Is it feeling really like status updatey? And I think the proof is going to be in how people end up actually using this platform, and not just how they're using it on day 2.
So, Rachel, are you telling your clients to jump in now and experiment and sort of stake out their space? Or are you telling them to wait because there's so many now different platforms that you could be posting on? Is this one at 70 million, or maybe it'll be 80 by the end of the show? Is it worth getting into now?
Look, normally with a new platform, I say sit back, wait, grab your handle, and just see what happens. This one, and I think this is how I know there was a shift, I was like, let's get in there. Meta not leaked it, but, announced it to a few brands. So as soon as you logged on, you saw that there was Netflix was already in there. Complex was already in there. There were brands really actively participating, and it almost felt like as a brand, you didn't have that time to wait. You had to get in there. You had to involve yourself. And so that's the first time I've really seen that in a long time with the new platform, where brands really just jumped right in and we're having a lot of fun in there.